Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another broadcast of Sound Off with System One. I am your host, Karen Callahan. System One is a leading provider of highly technical outsourced services and workforce solutions to critical infrastructure, technology, life sciences, and government sectors in the US, Canada, and the United Kingdom, putting more than 11,000 employees, contractors, and consultants to work daily. Please, while you're joining the broadcast, don't forget, go ahead and join in on the comments section. Drop us a note who you are, where you're from, what industry you're in. We have members of our team, Allie and Rich, who will be responding to all of your comments and including our contact information as well. So please feel free to connect with all of us on LinkedIn because as we all enjoy growing our networks. So I am here today with an exciting, I say they're all exciting, but they are exciting to me. I'm going to enjoy an interview today with System One's field service software company, EnSight Plus's CEO, Lee Schwartz. So Lee, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Great. Thank you, Karen. So, I'm excited to be here today with Sound Off to talk about EnSight. And, thank you for inviting me. So my name is Lee Schwartz, CEO of EnSight Plus. And, about me, I've been in the operations, systems, and software world for about 20 years or so. I grew up in North Miami, Florida, about 20 minutes away from South Beach, to give you sort of a frame of reference where I grew up. After high school, I ended up going to Tulane University in New Orleans for college, where I attended the A.B. Freeman School of Business. Met a great group of friends there, and the city of New Orleans is just a great, great town. We go back every couple of years and have a little reunion with our friends, and I really do miss that town or city, I guess you can talk, right? So after graduation, I went right into a family parking business, so parking lots, garages, and things like that, where I remained for about 10 years. That business was sold roughly around 2000. And my primary role there was, again, to do, audit systems, data flow. So if you think about a car driving into a parking lot, right, you're taking a ticket and that ticket needs to be tracked and audited all the way to the point where the cash gets into the bank. So, my role there was really to develop systems and computerized platforms and data transfer back and forth to be able to control the cash flow of that operation. I think right around 2003, I ended up moving to New York, and I joined a group of guys that were starting a student loan consolidation business. I joined them as their COO, where, again, my role was to build systems and automate workflows, e-signature platforms, marketing landing pages, and we eventually became the fourth largest student loan consolidator in America at that time. It was a great company. We grew, and the financial crisis hit, and things got a little tough, but we ended up selling that business towards the end of the 2000s, so maybe 2009, 2010. Mm-hmm. It was around that time that my partner in the student loan business had known System One CEO Troy Gregory for a long time, and he introduced me to them. And Troy was talking about System One and how they were growing organically in their staffing world, and they were also making acquisitions. And they, had opportunities in their organization to build efficiencies throughout that network. So that's sort of how I came into the System One world. It was a very exciting time to meet with Troy and the group and talk about their goals for the company. Personally with me, married, beautiful wife, Gabrielle, and two kids, Ryan, 8, and May, my daughter, 5. They both love soccer, and, they're great kids. I'm sure everybody says that their kids are great, but mine are great too.
My two children disappoint me equally, so I'm glad to hear that you love your children that much, and they're very inspiring.
Right.
I kid half.
No, it's we all say the same thing, right? We have good days and bad days, right?
There's good days and bad days. And I love the fact, because I'm a Florida native, I love the fact that you started in South Beach. I remember being in my younger days, constantly going there, and then to New Orleans, all the way to New York, and now in Connecticut. I love the East Coast. I love that you're part of the East Coast. So you're definitely, and the fact that you met, it's so amazing to me when I hear these stories and I speak to our executive leadership how we all get connected and how we all find Troy and Greg and other members of our executive leadership, because it's truly like family. It's just this web where we connect with them, and then we all become family. And I just love that part of the culture of System One here. So
Absolutely.
that being said, I went off on a tangent. Sorry,
No, it's
Lucas and
great. No
Skylar,
worries.
my babies. But anyway, go ahead and tell us about EnSight Plus's field service software.
Sure. So for those that aren't familiar with field service software, it's really just a fancy way to say don't use paper anymore, right? So think about a field technician who has to go from an office or a warehouse to a home or a facility and do work and capture work information. Traditionally, in the old days, way back when, and some companies are still using it, they go with a piece of paper. Their boss will give them a piece of paper that says, go to Karen's house and change her electric meter, right? So what field service software is, it's a mobile app that ties into a backend database, and it allows technicians to go to a home or a business and do some work, capture the data in the mobile phone, whether it's photos, scanning, inventory, things like that. That data syncs in real time to a database and allows management to view the completed work order data from a air-conditioned desk, essentially, right? So that's field service software. And EnSight, where EnSight fits in is, we believe we're the most customizable field service software for the utility industry and their subcontractors, right? So utilities need work done, things like electric, water, and gas meter changes, street lights need to be repaired or replaced. Utility poles need to be repaired, right? Power lines go down. Our software is really key in keeping the nation's infrastructure up to date and maintained.
Absolutely. So that being said, and obviously, so paper versus mobile, that very much makes sense. That very much makes sense. And it's kind of a lead into my next question, which is, how did you come up with the idea to create this customizable management application?
Right. So, when I first started with System One and met with Troy and Greg, right, Greg Lignelli as well, and Dan Moran, the CFO, they had basically come up with some initiatives where they wanted to build efficiencies within the organization. And, one of the new acquisitions that System One had at the time was a utility services contractor. And they had a software solution, but it was out of date, right? At that time, this was roughly 2010, 2011, Microsoft technology, where it's kind of deprecated at this moment. Everybody's transitioning or has transitioned to Android and iOS mobile apps, whereas the Microsoft really doesn't have the security features that the new apps do. And they needed tools to help gain efficiencies in the organization, business process operations, help them do things faster, collect less data where it needed, more data where they needed it. And we ended up building this tool inside the organization. And that's sort of how the idea came up. It was a need of the System One organization, and it really helped unlock the technicians' efficiency within that organization to the point where, now I believe that organization is a $100 million company.
It's amazing. And it's like the old adage, like motherhood is the necessity of invention, right?
Right. Yeah. And what would happen was this utility services company did work for utilities. And at the end of a project, the utility would inevitably say, hey, great job, guys. Thanks so much. Now that it's over and you guys are leaving, can we use your software? And, the answer at the time was no, because it was a single tenant software. It was designed for System One specifically. And, we had to basically redesign the software so that every client could have their own version of it. And we went back to the drawing board, and 12 months later ended up birthing EnSight out of that, those utility requests, essentially.
And that's amazing. The quick turnaround that we had with that you guys had with that is absolutely amazing. So that being said, how has EnSight Plus evolved since its conception?
So, we originally had, and we still have, at a macro level roadmap that we want to accomplish, like things we want EnSight to be able to do and features that we're developing. But, as we're doing what we think needs to get done, we're constantly meeting with our clients and, new and existing clients, right? So going back to them and saying, what else do you need? Is there something that the software doesn't do for you? So we're getting constant feedback from our clients, and they're really driving our roadmap, right? So we've added on online appointment scheduling where their utilities want to have their customers book an appointment. We didn't do that because everything was internal, right? We were dispatching
Mhm.
appointments too. We were driving what the technicians would get. The utilities wanted to open up the scheduling to their clients, so we developed a scheduling tool. We developed a communications platform where we can, obviously send text or email reminders. Hey, you have an appointment coming up. We have a warranty program where our contractors can dispatch a warranty work order now where they can go and replace a hot water heater in someone's home. A call center module, right, where our contractors can use our software as their call center solution. They can do outbound dialing. They can receive inbound phone calls. So we've developed these modules and solutions at our clients' requests, within reason, right? Obviously, we're not going to go build QuickBooks, but, if we can bolt on something very quickly, our developers have been working together for 20 years, basically, and we can put stuff together pretty quickly. So the request is reasonable. Most likely it's a user interface issue, and it can be done very, very quickly.
I love that you were able to evolve that way, where it's literally, the company's needs driven, and it turned into the client's needs driven. And it was, the priority was the service provided for the clients. Okay, next question.
Yes. Let's see if I can answer this one.
My entire marketing department, we are no strangers to electric vehicles and the role that many utilities play in the goal of transitioning consumers to EV installation, so electronic vehicle charger installations and what have you. So how can EnSight Plus help?
So there's a lot of buzz with this EV initiative right now. So the infrastructure plan, and there's a major amount of funding that's going into upgrading the nation's infrastructure. And EnSight, because again, this goes back to our customizable workflow feature and all of that. We can spin up a EV workflow where our customers can enable their technicians to go and do electric vehicle charging installations for their workforce. We have a specific client who's working with a large utility in the East Coast, let's just say, and they've developed a rebate program where they're incentivizing their customers to install electric vehicle charging stations in their home, and they're essentially paying for it, right? The federal and state refund program is enabling the utility to offer this for free, as long as it's under a certain dollar amount. So most of these installations are within this allotted dollar amount. Let's just say it's $1,000.
Okay.
Obviously, if you have a detached garage that's 500 feet away, and we've got the utility contractor has to run 500 feet of conduit to make the installation work, it won't fall under that $1,000 stipend. But most installations will fall into that stipend. So these customers of these utilities, of this particular utility, can basically raise their hand, go through our website, fill out a form, say, I want to be part of this program. Our contractor who uses EnSight uses our software to initiate that call to that customer, schedule an appointment, dispatch a work order to their technician, go and install that electric vehicle charging station. And at the end, they can, we've developed these reports for our client, and they can roll up these reports into a rebate package that they submit to the utility. The utility takes that, gives it to the government, state or federal, to get their money back. So we have this turnkey EV charging solution for utilities to be able to offer rebate programs to their customer base. And we're very excited about it, and we think it's going to unlock this national charge towards EV infrastructure.
That's amazing, and that sounds like a win-win situation. Seriously,
free charging, right? Free charging station.
Exactly. So I can see how EnSight Plus completely aids in the collection of data. How can it help with upcoming decisions and calls to action? Like, does it predict the future?
Right.
How can it prevent error? Does it predict the future? I don't know.
Right. So it can predict the future if you program it to, right? So it could predict when something needs to happen and let you know that you've got to do something. So a good example would be a couple of our clients use our software for scheduled maintenance, like routine maintenance on, let's just say, a vehicle, right? Vehicle needs oil change every 5,000 miles. They could set it to 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, not recommended for 10,000, but whatever setting they want. And our platform will basically notify them and say, hey, it'll learn how many miles they typically drive a day and say, hey, roughly in a week or so, these vehicles are due for maintenance. You should start planning and scheduling that maintenance. So we can do sort of predictive maintenance. But most of our clients use it for that, as well as, anomaly checking. So a really good example would be, exception reporting, right? You don't want to manage and look at 5,000 pieces of data if 4,999 you can ascertain if that data is correct. So a good example would be a serial number of a meter or serial number of a light, right?
Okay.
The serial numbers need to be 8 digits. They have to be between this range and that range. And when a piece of data comes in, and instead of the number being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, G78. We can flag an alert saying it shouldn't have allowed, or we can block it from coming in the system in the first place. So there's a lot of things we can do with data, and our system is set up so that our customers can set up their projects from the front to keep bad data out, right? Give us all the rules. Don't allow text when it's a number. Don't allow numbers when it's text only. Things like that will keep the data perfect. And then you just have to focus on data that are out of a range, right? So if somebody has a home and there's an electric meter on the side of that home and the kilowatt reading is 5,220 and the last read was 5,920, right? The new read is less than the old read. We can flag that and say, hey, the new read that you enter needs to be more because somebody didn't reverse kilowatts, right? They didn't give energy back. Actually, that's not true, because now customers can sell energy back to the utility. But I think you understand the point.
I do.
Right.
I mean, it's beyond my scope, but yes, I do. I am understanding.
All right, so utility stuff, yeah, but it's really exciting how these customers can sell energy back to the utility. Now, I'm not there. There's new bi-directional meters, and I'm not sure if some of them actually go in reverse or if they work in a different manner.
Well, that's exciting. But speaking of the future, I'm going to ask my own nerdy question. So
Okay.
I hear, total nerd question. I hear that you're making the move, or maybe you are making the move toward using artificial intelligence. What would that entail, and what does that entail?
Okay. So the easiest use case we can say at the moment, right? Some of the stuff is proprietary, but some of the stuff is out there already in the market. So the one that we can talk about is, I don't know if you're familiar with Google Glass. Back in the day, they came up with these glasses that had a little camera on a little screen. So we're basically taking those type of glasses and integrating them with our mobile app so that a technician can go to a work site and work hands-free, right? Right now, they're going to a home or a street light or a telephone pole, going up in a bucket truck, and they're taking off their, protective equipment to enter data in the phone, right? That's not ideal. Ideally, they would keep their protective equipment on and be able to speak to the mobile app using, via the Google Glass connection and say, hey, EnSight, take a photo, right? It'll take a photo, it'll display it in their little image, and they say, accept photo. Do you want to accept or take another one, right? Hey Google, hey EnSight, capture GPS now, right? So then our app would then capture the GPS location of where that technician is at that moment, so that the utility will have an exact point of reference for that, utility pole or that electric meter or that, down power line, right? So things like that enable the technician to work hands-free to not only save time, but primarily to keep them safe.
I find that I just find that exciting. So that's the nerdy side of me, and I'm sure there's lots of nerds watching here too, also. But I just envision like Terminator or
yeah, it could be cool, right? You tap the thing and you say, next field, next field, next field, skip, complete work order, and then they just go on their day.
I love it. I love it. It just sounds like this has been a needs-driven. So I feel it's needs-driven software. It's client-based, and I feel that you guys are ever evolving and you're anticipating future needs. And again, client-driven, and it's for the people at the end of the day. So thank you so much, Lee. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Of course. Anytime. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
This was a really, for me, it was just a great conversation, and I love that it's, it's very timely, and I'm glad to have you on here to explain EnSight Plus. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, everybody. So that's all the time we have this week for Sound Off with System One. Feel free to, again, still drop comments in the section if you want. We will respond to you. And again, contact, go ahead.
Were there any comments? I didn't hear any.
A lot of highs, just
Okay.
a lot of connect with us. So connect with Lee, connect with me, connect with whoever you want to here on the broadcast. So please join us again next week, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on Sound Off with System One. Next week, our host, Ali Moen, will be talking with our expert panel to job seekers and hiring managers alike about congratulations, you've landed your dream job. Let's keep you there. So we will see you again next Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, everybody.